Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. Today, I'm your host, Alan, and we're glad you joined us on this fabulous February morning. You could have been in so many places, and you've chosen to be with us. So we honor your presence here in our wonderful community, whether this is your first time or if you keep coming back because you know it works in your life. Now, today's talk title is Moving from the Potential to the Physical. Yeah, repeat that one more time. Moving from the potential to the physical. And I brought a quote to go along with today's message. With realization in one's own potential and self-confidence in one's own ability, one can build a better world. And that is by the Dalai Lama. So I invite you to really just let those words sink in as we listen to today's talk and to the announcements about our upcoming class. Also, I encourage you to follow us on Facebook, to like, to post a comment, and to share with your friends all of the wonderful happenings here at CSL Charlotte. And I encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to click the notification bell so you stay informed on everything that's happening with our channel. So now I invite you to relax and get settled in as I pass the mic over to our fabulous, radiant Reverend Rosedale Jones.
Thank you, Brother Alan, my right-hand man. So, what a beautiful day. This is a beautiful Sunday. We're calming down with the weather here in South Carolina, and all is well. So, welcome to all you YouTube people right now and people that are listening on to this virtual community and everybody just everywhere you are. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte, the Mind, Body, Spirit Center. Today, our topic is moving from the potential to the physical. The potential is something you don't get to see very often, but you will after this talk. See, also, we're celebrating February, which is Black History Month. We celebrate every culture there is that we know about, and we're celebrating Black history this month. So we have a lineup of fabulous people to really celebrate. So first on our platform today is none other than my right-hand man, Alan Lilly. He's going to open up the prayer, and the prayer is going to set the tone for us, and it's going to give you that moving to potential because he kind of did it a little bit already today. So let's give Alan, open up and give it to him. Alan.
All right. I invite you to close your eyes as we connect with that infinite power that lives within each and every one of us. This infinite source that is our potential. It goes beyond our limited human understanding because it is infinite. And I know that today we are inspired to level up. We are all inspired to turn up the brightness of our light switch as we connect more with spirit, as we walk forward in our power and in our knowing our purpose in this world to transform our lives and to help inspire other people to transform their lives as wonderful examples of what spirit can do through each and every one of us in this community. And I'm grateful to be part of this wonderful community as well. And I'm glad you're here today as well. So I release these affirmations, these intentions out to this wonderful universe, knowing all of us are individualized stars expressing in divine and perfect order. And so it is.
Beautiful, and so it is. Everything is in divine order. So, next on our platform is our reader, Horace the Bush is what I call him, but Horace Bush is our AKA, he's our ops coordinator and other things like that, but he kind of keeps us all carefully moving through. But anyway, Horace's reading today is going to open us up to moving from the potential to the physical. But these little things he's about to talk to you about is going to get you primed so you can get the rest of the information and start to use it in your own life. So after Horace's reading, listen to the song Healing on Earth by John Denver. That's going to take you another level. So Horace, make it do what it do.
Well, good morning, everyone. So the reading this morning is The Moment the Invisible Becomes Real. The Moment the Invisible Becomes Real by our own Reverend Rosedale Jones. So, before anything becomes real in your life, there is a moment so small you almost miss it. It's a moment where the world is still unshaped, still fluid, and still waiting. Physicists call this the realm of potential. It's the place where an electron is not here or there. They are suspended in a cloud of maybes. It is not because the electron is confused. No, no, no. It's because it is free. And nothing becomes definite until something interacts with it. Not a thought, a wish, a touch, a meeting, or a moment of contact with the world. So, quote unquote, observe a particle, you must send something toward it like a photon or a pulse of light. That is a tiny messenger that says, "See where you are." Okay? The instant the light touches the particle, the cloud of maybes collapses. The possibilities narrow. A single reality steps forward. It's not because the universe bowed to a thought, it's because interaction chose a direction. Let me say that again. It's because interaction chose a direction. This is the part the mystics have always known. Your life behaves the same way. Your attention is the direction of the instrument. Your choices are the physical interaction. Your embodied belief is the calibration of the tool. Your life stays in a state of potential until you interact with it. The moment you act, the moment you speak, the moment you commit, the cloud of maybes in your life crystallizes into a single event. Not because you forced reality, but because you participated in it. You are not collapsing electrons. You are collapsing pathways. Let me say that again. You are not collapsing electrons. You are collapsing pathways. You are collapsing identities. You are collapsing futures. Every time you choose, you perform a measurement. Every time you focus, you select a direction. Every time you embody a truth, you bring one possibility into form and release all the others. Creation is not a lightning strike. It's a series of small interactions that corresponds with the universe. And the universe is patient. It waits. This is the sacred mechanism. Potential waits. Focus chooses. Embodiment makes it physical. Yes, it makes it physical. You don't need to overpower reality. Let me say that again. You don't need to overpower reality. You only need to interact with it as the version of yourself you are becoming. And the moment you do, the invisible becomes the physical. Yes. So let me leave you with this quote. Every time you embody a truth, you bring one possibility into form and release all the others. And that is from my Reverend Rosedale Jones, and so it is.
There is wisdom here, so much to learn. All that time, he's telling that you of his has brought him through. We'll start with a short centering and relax your eyes by really closing them or looking down into your lap, just keeping the distractions out for a minute. And then breathe in really, really deep and really long, and then slowly exhale. See, this is the thing. We live in two realms, the quantum realm and the realm, which is the realm of potential. And for us, the physical realm, which we get to experience. Now, this song is the bridge that represents the moment the invisible vibrations of the potential decide to manifest in our physical world. Quantum physics, this is what they say, scientists, quantum physics, whatever, they say that at the smallest level, the only thing that exists is a cloud of maybes, a big gas form, not anything tangible, just a bunch of maybes. That's the cloud of potential. And we don't live in a cloud though, but we live on Earth. And we live where there's healing happening on Earth. We live in the physical. So the healing song that John sings is about the miracle of this collapse from the potential into the physical. Don't let that word throw you, collapse. It's that moment that the universe, being a potential, starts being a you. That's it. So deepen your practice and start moving from the potential to the present, which is the physical. Now, we are all at choice whether you choose to practice this today or tomorrow or never. But you can do that if you really want to figure this out or learn this. So wiggle your fingers and your toes and integrate your mind, your body, and your spirit. Bring yourself back into your seat or your chair, and as you float around your eyes, around your space, find something in your space that's going to connect you back to this present moment. Now, it's interesting what made me start this idea of us or life or the world or the earth moving from the potential to the physical. Now, the first couple of lines in Horace's reading, he told us that before our day actually becomes a day, there is an invisible moment. That's when you're waking up. There's an invisible moment where the world is still unshaped. Right then, when you get up out of that bed, nothing's shaped yet. You're the author. You're the writer. But let's just leave this for a second. But that's where the world has not been shaped. And this is where the quantum physicists this is what the quantum physicists call the realm of potential, right there. When I wake up first thing in the morning, I've gotten to the point now with all these years of practice of being able to see things and try to grasp it. But the minute my physical mind tries to get it, then it goes. So you just got to practice this. I tell you guys, it's beautiful. Well, that class that's coming up is going to be really powerful too. But so in other words, what this reading was saying before we got here, before your feet even hit the floor, before your mind even knows your name, this is what happens every night that we go in and out and come back and go out again tonight. And also before your habits that you have all the time, they don't even remember their script yet. The script, oh, coffee, the little robotic things we do. Also, that is the moment that is closest before we get out of that bed, before we make a move. That's what I'm always grasping for, because that's my next level of evolution. The closest thing between you and me and that quantum field is that first thing in the morning, the time the sun rises, just like John said in his song. Now, the thing about Horace mentioning the photon and the electron are the smallest particles on the planet. They can't be seen by the naked eye, not even the regular what do you call those things? Microscopes. They can't even see it with that. The photon is still there. That's the potential. It's that pulse of light. Go with me on these little things I'm saying. It's that tiny spark. Like if you had gas, you're gonna light up a gas. No. You're gonna put charcoal in the oil, but you're gonna take that beautiful oil that makes that fire, that fuel, right? So that photon is a light that powerful, but really tiny, and it's a spark of energy. Okay, so that's that one thing. Now the electron, it's something that is everywhere. Now the electron holds all of our desires or possibilities. See, between the electron and the photon, that's our potential. You could be broke, that's a potential. Maybe not one you like. You can have this fabulous job and income is going great. Another photon, electron, these are just potentials. Another electron could show up as you losing it all. But these are all variations of your life that you get a chance to collapse into the physical if you focus on you instead of everybody else. Okay, so the electron is here, there, and everywhere. It could be anywhere, but whatever that photon hits, bam, that's because of your focus here in the physical. And that's why it's so important that we practice this stuff or we learn more, because just knowing, oh yeah, this stuff happens, but you got to learn how to do it. You got to do it. You got to take time. It's so much. But I'm so happy that I'll never stop doing this anymore, because I'm just finding out more and more about how deep I can get. So the moment that photon light hits one of those electrons, which is one of the potential or possibilities in your own life, gosh, you know what? Something then shifts once the light hits the right variable, probability, potential, possibility. That's all the same. But once that photon hits that electron that says, you're going to have all this money or you're going to be broke, that's your choosing that you made here in the physical. Sorry, but don't be mad, or just work on it, right? See, at that level of the potential, when the electrons and the photons and the atoms, where they are, they don't behave like objects. They don't behave like this pen to write, because they are elusive. They're just going back all day long, and we don't see it. We don't need to see it. We just need to learn how to feel it. But watch this, you're going to get there. See, they're just possibilities there that existing in the land or the quantum field, right? So it's called the wave of potential or maybes. And it's what collapses the whichever one that light hits, because of your focus, the photon collapses into your one location to be an outcome, to be your reality. So the reality you're living in right now, you're choosing it 100%. But let's stop that, because no, that tiny interaction is the scientific version of you that's living in your life right now. That's your manifestations. So when we pause, though, this is the good news. When we pause long enough to daydream, to even sense that there's a happier version of me somewhere, that's you going in there. Oh my God, I learned that and I so understood it when I got it. That was me going there, saying, wow, how would it be me looking all beautiful the way I want to look? That's how I felt back then, how I am looking right now. This is what I wanted. I wanted to be this person. I look at myself, I say, I am beautiful. I look at myself and say, I am strong. I look at myself and say, I am happy. I look at myself and say, I never want for money, because I learned how to get it and keep it and live with it and give it to others. I learned, but you got to learn it. So my pulse light, when I realized that, I know that's what's happening. When I realized that, well, this is not what I want to see right here. You know, you're just telling me that I got to pay this and do that. Well, then my mind is going to go, what? And then, you know what I mean? So I know that I'm at the field at that point. You got to know where you are. That's the photon light. When I start to think about what I want, that's my choice. Now I went out of this. So if I ask you, what do you want? And you say, I don't know yet. Then, oh, you see what you get? You get an I don't know yet, right? So that's why. So a quantum particle, which is that photon and that electron, they're not tangible. We are tangible. The pen is tangible. The floor underneath the feet is tangible because it's physical. But the cloud of maybes or potentials is quantum, right? It's in the quantum, it's in the field. You don't have to see it, you just have to trust that it's there. Now, I learned how to trust the process because I learned this information. But this cloud of maybes is nothing but potential. So can we get the word potential out of the way now? You ready? Okay. Now, what happens is that's just a fancy way of saying that electrons could be anywhere at any given time. So maybe this year you can have that beautiful whatever it is, or maybe not this year because you're not ready to focus on that, or you're not ready to practice that way. You're just still working on being logical. And if you're trying to be logical, you're not going to be able to practice that way. Remember, I talked about that antenna last week. I'm kind of building up something here. We do train our minds either way, whether you know you're training it or not. We train our mind to observe each one of the collapses that come from each potential that we have, which we live right now in the physical. We did that. There are so many potential outcomes that these electrons are, boom, 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 all over the place. I see them all the time because I understand that they're there. Once you get to understand they're there, boom. See, we need to be aware of the potential outcomes that exist. So we can say, yeah, I don't want to be broke, so I better do this. That's that consistency, that practice, that consistent practice. I hate meditating because it's so boring. Okay, well then you just hate being with yourself. And if you hate being with yourself, who the heck wants to be with you? Huh? So I like to call that moment of collapse the invitation, the quickening, the manifestation. Once it collapses, I invite it into my life. That's one thing. I don't choose it, I invite it. And once it collapses, or to get it, I get that moment of the quickening. And the quickening is the moment I accept that invitation and say, I'm the one causing this. So since that's cool, let me just chill for a minute and let me just figure this out. How can I do this? Maybe I need to go take the classes. I got to do that. I literally, honestly told myself, take these classes. These people ain't telling you this for nothing. The manifestation part, so we got the invitation, we got the quickening when you take that invitation, but then we got the manifestation. That's the final, that's the beautiful part of the whole thing when it arrives in the physical world. That's if you've been really actually in it. So in practice, you are aware that there are many potentials in the quantum field, and you want one of them, but you want the one you choose. But if you don't choose, it's like choosing. It's the same thing if you vote and you don't vote. If you don't vote for that a better president, you voted for the one you got. Same thing. If you didn't vote to have a better job, if you didn't vote to have a better relationship, if you didn't vote to have a better life, you got this life. Just a willy-nilly life. In the physical world, observation isn't just us staring at something where we can say, well, that's what observation means. No, not necessarily, but partially. Observation is interacting when the photon interacts with one of those electrons, but that's because we are doing the meditations, doing the spiritual work, doing all these different beautiful things that it takes us to change our mind. It's all about engagement. That's what observation is really about. So it's the moment that you can touch the possibility of who you are. I can touch my possibilities whenever I'm ready. Whenever I realize, hey, I'm not digging this anymore. Okay, what do we got to do? Or even if it's something as simple as, well, my foot is hurting lately. Oh, really? Okay, so now I have to do certain things. And whatever the things are I need to do, I don't know them physically right then and there, but I'm certainly going to start picking and pecking until I hit that photon hits that light, bing, my leg's fine. Or my arm, whatever it is. Or I want to build my muscle. I have a fabulous body now. It's not I'm showing off, it's but what I wanted. I mean, I have great health. It's that moment, like I said, that you touch a possibility with your focus. That's that photon, that's that light, your focus, bing, your choice, bing, your embodiment. So, how do we train the mind to actually observe that? Right? We practice 3 things. First of all, awareness. I say this every single week over and over and over in different ways, different topics. But this one is the different topic, but it's the same stuff. So we got 3 things. Awareness, we got intention, and we got embodiment. You need a practice with more than just affirmations. Affirmations are great for changing your mind, but if you really want to get there real quickly, you can't get on top of the turtle to do it. If you really want it, you got to pull it all. See, affirmations are fabulous, but they are just verbal. That's just one part of you. We got to get into the sensory part of us. See, people are too logical. Stillness is sensory, and it's in all likeness, it is. And potential is felt before what it is spoken. So when you try to speak stuff, you're being logical because you're trying to think, right? Remember last week I talked about the heart's antenna. What did I call it? The heart's psychic antenna. Still psychic, because I realized that there's a lot of psychic things I do where my body or certain things in my life just changes right that same week. It might not do it that moment, but it's going to occur to me just when I need it. See, remember that I told you that the heart antenna outwits the brain 100%, 1,000 times stronger. All right, something like that, but that's science. You need to take that tiny pause during the day where several possibilities are existing, and you need to just go sit down somewhere. Then you can start recognizing it, and your quietness and your stillness begins to release, and now your electrons are doing a whole different job. Your focus starts to come. But if you're just sitting there going, every time I ask you, what do you want to do? I just shut up when I ask somebody that. They say, I don't know. Because I say, oh gosh, there's no way you can tell them. I wish I could. Understand that right now, in that cloud of maybes, as we sit here, there are several different outcomes existing for you at once, right now. You have to choose one. One version is your version of the future where you have no money, let's use that. Another version is the version where your future, you got this big place in life and lost it all, something, big house or whatever. And then another version of you in the future has more money than you even know what to do with. But let's face it, we have to train our mind to observe this collapse, and we have to become the identity of the person who feels they are that next. Because if you still feel broke, if you still feel fearful that I can't go buy this, then you're not going to move anywhere. Period. If you keep saying, well, I got to pay my light bill, so I can't donate to CSL Charlotte. It's not even just donating to CSL Charlotte. You know what it's doing? It's you being fearful of releasing into that circulation. In order for you to be the person to receive that money, you have to be that person that knows you are a match to it. Everybody would not know what to do with $1 million all of a sudden. They have to feel the identity of that person to receive it. You don't have to be a good person. You don't have to be a bad person either, but you don't have to be a good or bad person. You have to have an identity that respects yourself enough to receive that money. And if you don't get it and start doing it, you'll sit there broke. And I don't mean you're broke. I'm just saying. So the first thing we got to do is level up your identity. That's how potential becomes a reality in your physical world. We do not train the mind by forcing new thoughts. We do work with affirmations. But that stillness and that sensory is the roots of all of this. So to sense potential, the mind needs a moment where nothing is demanded of it. Because if you're a wife or a husband or a boyfriend or a girlfriend that must go home to take care of everybody else, you don't give you a moment to get what's you need, because everything is being demanded of it. What did I just say? To sense potential, the mind needs a moment where nothing is being demanded of it. So I love my Isaiah, but let me tell you, if I want something first, he has to wait. Okay. Thank goodness he's all right with that. But so how do we practice that mind that actually is in a state where nothing is demanded of us? We practice stillness that has sensory to it, not just a silence. Oh, I'm sitting in the silence. You got to use your senses. Sensory is where you let the body taste a possibility. Sensory is where you let the heart feel the future. You got to use your senses, not your brain logic. Stillness plus sensory, oh, I said it right this time, is where you let the mind soften enough to notice those subtle shifts inside you. Now you're in the potential for real, because now you're playing in the electrons. You're letting the photon do things because you are focusing. Once you put your focus in, that light. That's how you train the mind to observe the collapse into the physical, is because you, in sensory, you practice, and your journey is to find out what the happier version of you feels like. Because if you don't know what you want, you're never going to know what the happier version of you going to feel like. And it's all in the heart's psychic antenna. Am I getting there with y'all? In other words, what posture do you need to stand in? And I'm good at that. I teach posture to people. There's people that I used to work with that had the back and the neck out too far, that after about a year or two, the posture totally changed. What does that future taste like in your mouth? How do you need to stand? How do you need to walk? We train the mind to sense potential by practicing stillness that is a sensory, not just being silent. I have to say that because people think that I have to sit and meditate. I gotta be in silence. You gotta sit and meditate to feel your body. So in order to really embody my identity, what I had to do was I had to go to classes to literally learn what I know now. Then I felt that I can trust this process, because at first I couldn't trust the process. And that's going to be most of the time where you begin. My identity 30 or 40 years ago was totally different than today. I wasn't aware of rehearsing or practicing yet. That's all the same, practice, rehearsal, right? I spent all those years believing I was just a worker. I would get up every single morning as a worker and practice or rehearse being a police officer, put the gun on, going to do that. And all the while, my life was moving from potential to the physical base all the time, but it was only moving based on what little bit I knew back then. Back then, every morning, that's all I do is rehearse being a worker. Somebody who don't like her job as a police officer. See, I learned that philosophy and was a powerful thing, because I used to do that in college a lot. I didn't know why I was always pushed toward this, psychology, philosophy, and all of that. That's how come I was open to science of mind. That's why I was open to change my posture. That's why I was open to change my speech. That's why I have a new identity. bit by bit, my manifestation started moving from potential to the physical based on this new identity. And I have another billions more of identities as long as I live. I stopped building the old version of me and I started moving the potential into the physical because I started understanding how to get a new life. And since we're celebrating Black History Month, I just want you to think about this. We're going to honor somebody whose life shows exactly what that all was like. He's a human being that chose a new identity. I know he had to. You're not going to change it. You're not going to be any better until you change. You have to change that person that you are in order to be that person that's going to be your new you, the identity you can be proud of. So in honor of Black History Month, we're going to look at the life of Paschal Beverly Randolph. He understood the potential before it was even a trend. That was back in the 1800s. Timmy P is going to tell you about that. He traveled the world as a physician and a mystic and all that stuff. And this is what I needed to make these points about him because I did my own thing on him. He taught that the soul is not a passive observer where you're just staring at something, but it's a creative force that's capable of manifestation, just manifesting, just like you are. So with that, with no further ado, I got to have us welcome Timmy P to present Paschal Beverly Randolph.
Thank you, Reverend Rosedale. Yes, it's what a pleasure for me to present this gentleman, Paschal Beverly Randolph. He was a force to be reckoned with, and I had so much fun researching him. So much of what he was doing, 200 years ago aligns with what we're talking about and have been talking about for a while. So he was known as, the pioneer of mental emancipation and the father of American occultism. I'm going to talk about how he focused on, the principle of turning the dial of the will from the underground to manifest reality. So he was born in New York into poverty. And I love how, as a child, he realized that he was not going to be bound by what seemed to be physical conditions. He said that I cannot be enchained. You cannot chain a sovereign mind, and he believed that, and that started him experimenting with um, quieting his mind. That's what he connected with the underground movement. That sometimes we've got to go underground. We've got to be quiet. We heard about Harriet Tubman a couple of weeks ago. When she moved at the dark of night, it was about just being quiet so you can get from point A to point B. He recognized that and practiced it, put it into a spiritual practice. He was a friend of President Lincoln, and so I found that him using terms like emancipation to be powerful. So he was actually invited to ride on President Lincoln's funeral train, to Springfield. He didn't get to go all the way, of course, because of racial tensions at the time. He was asked to get off of the train before it got to his destination, but he used that as fuel and motivation to say that he's still not bound by what others want to impose on us. He had this concept of the volenta. And the volenta, he says, is the skill of clearing the static to hear our own divine intention. So I know we've been talking about that tuning in, coherence. We talked about maybe 6 months, a year ago, and he was all about that. He says that we have to control our mind and move ourselves forward. He says that the human mind acts as a living battery, broadcasting signals that shape the world around us. So we've been talking the last 2 weeks about all of this field of possibility, but the one that we manifest is the one that we put our attention on. And he says that that's exactly what's happening with us. He talks about he was one of the first ones that talked about thought as cause. He didn't use those exact words, but he said that thoughts are the subtle fluids that become the physical facts. Those were his words. And then later on, in our New Thought tradition and philosophy, it became thoughts are things, thought is cause. And so what we put our attention on is what we manifest. And he definitely talked about that. He says that we do not merely wish, we precipitate reality by charging our mental blueprints with the internal fire of our emotion. We use our emotions, or I use my emotions to help motivate me. If I'm recognizing something that I don't like, fear or doubt or whatever, I'm going to use that as motivation to move into the space that I want to be in. Reverend Rosedale just talked about it today, that we've got to use stillness and sensory to soften our minds enough so that we can move into that potential zone so that we realize our destiny. And then my last slide. Oh, this might be the last slide. No, here it is. Well, I just read all of that. Okay. So then, yeah, I encourage you to check out Mr. Randolph. I have a couple of quotes. I'm just going to leave you with 3 or 4 of his quotes. I encourage you to go do some your own research. It was a fascinating YouTube video at some university that looked at his life, his parallels, and how where he was 200 years ago is still relevant today. So he said that I am the master of my own spirit. I refuse to be limited by the conditions of my birth or the color of my skin. So that was something that he recognized and spoke about, especially when he was kicked off the train for President Lincoln's funeral procession. He says, I owe my success, mental, to my conglomerate blood, my troubles and poverty to same source. I am not what happens to me. I am what I choose to become. So that reminds me of the Kwanzaa principle, Kuchagalia, self-determination. He was all about it. He was cool and all about Kwanzaa before Kwanzaa was even a thing. The soul of a man is vast, unfathomed deep, and the will is the power that moves it. When the will is centered, it becomes a magnet. So that is all, might sound like law of attraction. And so, yeah, so he was doing all these things before all of these things became trendy as they are today. So I'll leave it there. I encourage you to go check out Pascal Beverly Randolph and check out all that he did in merely 50 years of his life. So thank you for your attention.
Timmy P, all while I was planning this talk, I'm glad I didn't have enough time to go look over this man, because the words that he used before even Ernest Holmes came along, volenta, which is called volition, which means choice, which means we're at choice, right? All those wonderful things about that man. That's why I said he understood this before it became a trend. And that was like 1800s. So think about that. This is not new thought. This is way before his time, this man's time, the Beverly's time. So with that being said, I just think that's fabulous, Timmy P. Thank you. I couldn't have done a better job of talking about that man. That's why I said, give it to you. So let me just take a deep breath on that. That was powerful. Thank you, Timmy P. That just meshed it right on into the story, the talk. So here's what it is, guys. With all of that, this is nothing new for you either. That man was here in the 1800s doing that. If we want to experience the movement from potential to the physical, we have to wake the heck up. If you want possibilities of a better world to become a reality that you can live in and be happy, we have to wake up together. So a collective consciousness is a healer, because every single Tuesday night we get together, whether people, well, if the same people show up, that's fantastic. But you know what I know that's happening? We are forming a healing session each and every Tuesday. collective consciousness, when we come together for the same cause, we create a field strong enough to change the world. We just keep going every single week. And I said, whoever's here, we're going to do this because I know with conviction that we are causing movement. So CSL Charlotte has a big cause. And you know what? I'm going to stay here and do it until it happens and until more happens, not just happen because it's happening for me. And this is what we do here at CSL Charlotte. We help transform the world from what it's been to the one we choose. So we have to wake up. And when we say the word wake up, everybody, I'm not just talking about the song that's coming up, the song title. I'm talking about the call for collective consciousness. It's a call for all of us to choose the same possibility or potential for this world at the same time. We're doing it quietly every day. Let's get together and sit in the consciousness meeting because this is an invitation to collapse the potential of a better world into the world we want to try and create. So listen to this song. Wake Up Everybody by John Legend. Wow, that I just had a quick thought about a conversation. It was a quick conversation, but it was very enlightening. This guy and I, and he's a new client of mine, and he's white. I'm Black, of course. And he said, "Well, I know this is Black History Month. Why do you make such a big deal about it?" I said, "Because I make a big deal out of anything that matters to me, and it does matter to me. But I tell you this." If it's something that's going on with Irish, I'm there for not Valentine's Day, St. Patrick's Day. I'm there for all those other things because I'm enjoying it. So why can't you enjoy Black History Month? And we shut that down for a minute because I said, don't think that. And then you know what he told me, which I thought was phenomenal. He said, because I can't face the things that happen to people like you. And I said, that's a powerful statement. So the world, honey, the world is changing. So in this moment, each of us is silently selecting that same possibility. Just because we got different skin colors, we should have those conversations and be real with each other. Because that same possibility that I want for this world, the white skin wants it, the pink skin wants it, the Indian wants it, everybody wants it. So who are you to think that I got a problem with you celebrating Black history? And then when you could explain it, that, oh my goodness, I know what it was. I like people like that because he really thought about what I felt. And that means he respects me as a person. So here's what we want. We want a world that's aligned. I know if I keep living like this, I'm going to see a lot more people change. See, a world that's aligned, a world that's awakened, and a world that's ready to become something new. I know I'm in the right position to do it. So our collective consciousness is the force that shifts the world from what it used to be to what we want it to be. And I'm saying it again, and I mean it with conviction. So join our consciousness meetings. I know you hear me out there in YouTube, and you're going to one day just say, let me see what this woman is talking about. So join our consciousness meeting so you can stay woke and we can together wake everybody else up. Thank you, Timmy P, for bringing all that up, especially how, you just talked about the static. We can bring that static to clarity. That is so powerful. I say it all the time, but you're going to do it after 8 weeks in that class. But thank you, Alan and Timmy P, for being before me. When you give to this community, I want you to understand what you're giving. You're making an investment in consciousness. But you aren't just making a donation. You are investing in a consciousness that has the power to change the world. Now, if that consciousness changed my life and plenty other people I know, imagine what it can do for you. You are fueling what awakens people to their potential and return them to the truth of who they really are. I'm not just speaking to you from some book when I say these words are true. I've seen the power transform my life for over the last couple of years, and I have had a ton of healings in all directions of my life, not just bodily, not just financially. Your investments are the power in this signal that we are radiating, that pulse. They keep the potential clear and open for everyone who finds us, and you as well. When you soften your guard and you let your resources circulate into this community, you begin to feel that same flow moving in your life. So as you align your giving with this flow, all you're going to do is change, heal, and prosper right along with it. So ask yourself this one thing: am I ready to energize CSL Charlotte's mission of moving souls from the potential to the physical? And let it be once you answer that question. See, I've shown you the field countless times. I've shown you the smallest parts of the universe as your potential. So since I know how much this work has changed my life, there has to be a part of me as the leader's heart, if you will, in this work to want you to do it too. I mean, I wish I can give you what I have in me to get you where I can, but I know that can't be done. My heart wants to reach out and do the same work for you, but it's not going to happen. But that's where this song comes that gives me this power. And that is, if I could, I would. So if you really want to really do this, step out there, but realize that as powerful as I can feel me rising to, you can do it too. So listen to the song, If I Could, by Regina Bell. She said it, she said it, she said it. And many people wish they could do that for many people they care for. If I could, I would. I would build a bridge from where I am to get you to where you gotta go. But I would even shield you from all the things you gotta go through. But just like that caterpillar in that cocoon, you got to do that yourself. See, the beauty of the quantum field is that it requires your eyes, your heart, your feelings, and your work in order to move you from the potential to the present and collapse right into your physical world. So, Alan, are you ready to pray us out?
Wow. If I could, I would. So I know right here and right now that as we connect with this divine spark within us, that divine passion, I know that we are all stepping forward in power and in purpose. We transform our lives and we inspire other people to transform their lives. So I know that as we are the caterpillar that crawls into that cocoon and then burst out as that butterfly bursting out of that cocoon, I know that is each and every one of us. That is how we evolve. That's how we transform. And this is why we are here, having as spiritual beings, having these human experiences, so we can transform, so we can level up and inspire other people to do the same, mentor other people to do the same, because we are all leaders. And this is why we are here in this community, to become the best leaders that we can possibly be, and to inspire other people to level up as well. To be an army for spirit, knowing that we can be all that we can be, knowing that as we step forward, that transform our minds, transform our thoughts, and to go to and do the work, to do those exercises we may not necessarily feel like doing, to make that phone call, or to have that meeting that we may not necessarily desire to have at that moment. We know that as we get through those challenges, that get through the obstacle courses at boot camp, I know that at the end, when we graduate, that we are not only proud of ourselves, but we also inspire and mentor other people as well. This is why we are here in this community. And I'm grateful to be part of this community where we're all here to inspire and uplift each other. So right here and right now, as I release these words, these intentions out into this wonderful universe. I'm knowing that everything works out harmoniously in a divine and perfect order. And so it is.
So it is, Alan. Thank you so much. So, guys, that's been a beautiful, beautiful another wrap up. So, as we wrap up today, and this was a beautiful time because I felt every minute that I spoke. And I know I'm just evolving every time I do this. It's like, let's keep moving from the potential to the physical. And if you don't understand that, join the class because you're going to hear so much things that are going to grab you and get your attention. Let's keep receiving these quiet signals and do something with them. Every moment through the day, you're getting them. Trust the process. Let it keep broadcasting the truth of who you are in every room you step into, in the stores, everywhere you go. Remember, the universe is always supporting you on your journey. Always, just always. So until we meet again, know that if I could, I would move you from the potential all the way collapsing right down into your physical life. And so it is.